My name is Femi Adebi. I'm the managing director of Kubona.ng. We're an online fashion accessories company. We specialize on premium products such as high-end leather shoes, handbags, wristwatches, and sunglasses. In 2018, we were really just a Lagos business, and we had some challenges scaling outside Lagos. And a big problem we had were customers were always asking for payment on delivery. So in that time, someone introduced us into Click and Ship by Red Star and told us they were able to handle most of the problems that we had. So we signed up with them in 2018, and within a few months of signing up with Click and Ship by Red Star, we were able to have a national presence in the country. I remember before we signed up with Red Star, we were not even selling the east of the country. Today we are selling in Maiduguri, in Borno, in Enugu, everywhere around the country. We have customers in every corner of the country, thankfully to Red Star Express. So for any small or medium-sized business that is doing e-commerce, that want to become a bigger business, I would recommend Click and Ship by Red Star Express.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I'm also did say good afternoon or good evening. Well, in some cases, it's really still, I think, good morning for some people. Welcome to this very first MSME Mixer, brought to you courtesy of the American Business Council in conjunction with our fantastic partners, the Enterprise Development Center of the Lagos Business School, and also our other partners, Dun& Bradstreet and Red Star. So first of all, I would like to just share that this has become really critical when you consider what has happened in 2020 and still happening. The world going bottom up with COVID-19, people losing their jobs. And so it becomes even more important because here we are talking about issues around the need for SMEs to grow by 600 million in 2023, and we're having these challenges. We also understand the importance of SMEs. SMEs contribute, I think, globally 50% in Nigeria, 48% or so to the GDP, and 96 or so percent to businesses. So it is imperative that we talk about this issue. I think again during the last meeting we had with the Deputy Assistant Secretary Makuna Cook last year, we actually emphasized the need, or she emphasized the need for SMEs in the US, whether they are Nigerian Americans in the diaspora or Americans doing business in Nigeria, to look at the area of SMEs as a way to have a launch pad into engaging and developing business in this country. And then when you look at this from a more broad-based perspective, when you consider the fact that Nigeria is soon or is already part of a one entity, a one market entity, thanks to the AFCFTA. And we know that SMEs play a critical, or will be playing, or has already playing a critical part of this. Then we know that this is really important for us to talk about this and look at, the opportunities that would exist in this space. So I wouldn't want to take the win of the sails of the fantastic panelists we're going to be having today. But also to say the thank you before the thank you, but I also want to reemphasize that our partners have made this extremely important for us to get this going. I'm very happy and thankful that we have these partners. So I would go straight to introducing Dr. Henrietta Oyegbuzie, who is the director for the MBA programs of Lagos Business School, Pan Atlantic University. So I'll just hand over to Henrietta. Henrietta, over to you.
You're mute, ma'am.
Hello, Henrietta.
Oh, sorry, I was actually speaking. I didn't realize I was muted. Okay, right. So, Chimaka, were you going to do an introduction or should I go straight into the event of the day?
Yes, please, ma'am. I'm going to introduce you now. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. So Dr. Henrietta Onwe-Buzie leads sessions in entrepreneurship on the MBA and executive programs at the Lagos Business School, and she's currently the director of MBA programs at Lagos Business School. She's also one of the first African visiting faculties at Yale School of Management in the United States. She has an MSc with honors in economics and business administration from the University of Navarre, Spain, an MBA from the Lagos Business School, Nigeria, and a PhD in entrepreneurship from Lancaster University in the UK. Dr. Henrietta is also a globally certified management consultant and is a fellow of the Institute of Management Consultants in Nigeria. She's a life member of the Beta Gamma Sigma Society, which admits only high performers in the top 5% of schools worldwide. Prior to joining the LBS faculty, she managed educational projects for women's development in different states in Nigeria and subsequently worked in banking industry with key responsibilities for blue chip companies and multinationals in the corporate banking sector. She sits on the board of several Nigerian companies and has extensive consulting experience. She's passionate about economic development and social transformation in Nigeria and Africa, and has initiated the creation of over 100 profitable social impact businesses through the MBA and executive programs at the Lagos Business School. Welcome, Dr. Henrietta.
Thank you very much, Chiamaka. And I say a big welcome to our audience as well as our panelists. This event is aimed at fostering the US-Nigeria trade and investments relations for mutual economic growth and prosperity. So I'll be introducing the three panelists who are with me today, and they'll be talking to us from different perspectives about doing business in Nigeria. As previously mentioned, all over the world, SMEs contribute about 86% of the total employment. And so it's not difficult to understand how important it is for us to understand what needs to be in place to ensure that we understand what the support they need to thrive and be able to employ more people and lead to a more vibrant socio-economic performance. Right, so let me start by introducing the panelists. First, I have Mira Mehta. She's the co-founder and CEO of Tomato Juice, a fully integrated farming and processing agribusiness in northern Nigeria that produces tomato paste and other agricultural products for the domestic market. Before founding Tomato Juice, Ms. Mehta worked in financial services and healthcare sectors in New York and Nigeria, respectively, where she gained valuable technical skills, developed an empathetic worldview, and built a strong network that would empower her to launch a business at the base of the pyramid. She's a graduate of Brown University and Harvard Business School. Mira, you're welcome to the event. I'd also like to introduce the other panelists. Let me just quickly go to... So I have also with us today, Glory Eyinaya. Glory is an international business consultant who works with organizations around the world to ensure full adoption of transformation initiatives and improve their performance. She believes that at scale, the application of best practices in management in African economies can strengthen African institutions and transform the continent. She is a PROTI-certified change manager, and Glory has managed change on several projects in the public and private sector, including Accenture and other blue chip companies. Glory created Cleos Africa, Africa's first online consulting platform, which has advised thousands of African entrepreneurs since inception. As an advisor to the Center for Global Enterprise in New York, she has advised over 200 female African entrepreneurs. She's also the regional partner of Faster Capital, a venture capital fund in the UAE, which provides technology support for tech businesses. She is a prolific writer who has written for leading publishers such as Wiley and Routledge. She is an international speaker who speaks at conferences in the Middle East, North America, and Europe. She blogs at www.gloriaunaya.com. Glory holds a BSc in Accounting, First Class Honors, from the University of Nigeria, an MBA distinction from the Lagos Business School, and is studying for a PhD in Strategic Management and Entrepreneurship from Pan-Atlantic University in Nigeria. She sits on the governing board of the Dominican College and the Nigerian chapter of the Global Association of Change Management Practitioners. Glory, you're welcome to the event.
Thank you very much, Dr. Henrietta.
Last but not the least, we have Ibade Akpede. Ibade is the head of SME at Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, usually known as the LSETF. Ibade helps entrepreneurs and small to medium businesses to improve their processes, set up right structures for scale. Someone needs to mute. Okay. So, and provides access to funding. She is passionate about helping to unlock the latent potential of Nigerian-owned businesses in the agriculture value chain and is an active investor in 2 small-scale food processing companies. She is a performance-driven professional with a multi-industry functional and leadership experience who is passionate about women empowerment and public service. Ibade, you're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Right. So let me start with Glory. Okay. I would like you to share. Oh, I have Mira on the screen right now. Okay. I had wanted Mira to talk about her business after the framework of the Nigerian ecosystem was established. But anyway, Mira, if you want, you can tell us about you're the founder of Tomato Juice, and maybe you want to share with us how you started and how the business is currently going. You're muted.
It's the network in Kaduna is a little bit shaky. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can now.
Good afternoon, everyone. And Henrietta, thank you so much for the introduction. I'm the one that I think had the issue with feedback on my side. It's a pleasure to be here and to give you a brief overview of my company, Tomato Juice. We are a farming and food processing company that is seeking to become a top 3 player in the tomato processed space in Nigeria. I came across the idea for this company when I was working in healthcare in Nigeria back in 2008 when I first moved here. And really, I think I had the idea for probably 8 years before I attempted to, or no, not quite 8, 5 years before I attempted to actually get into it and seek to understand whether or not this was even really a business opportunity. The idea came largely just based on my personal experiences in Nigeria, driving to all these different hospitals across the northern part of the country. I saw tomatoes lying on the side of the road. I realized that, tomato paste is a key ingredient in Nigerian cuisine. It's a daily purchased product, even by base of the pyramid consumers. And it seemed very obvious at a 10,000-foot level that, if there are all these tomatoes lying on the side of the road, why can't we make local tomato paste? Why is all the tomato paste imported? And so that was really the idea that I had, but it wasn't until 2013 that I really started looking into the feasibility of turning that idea into a profitable business. And since that time, certainly there have been many twists and turns, but I moved back to Nigeria in 2014. And 7 years later, we're finally a few months away from launching our branded product. So it's definitely been a long journey to get to where we are. We're still not where we want to be, but I'm sure we'll get into that in a little bit. Thank you.
We can't hear you.
Muted.
Oh, really?
She's muted.
I'm not, well, on my part, I'm not muted. Can you hear me?
Yes. No.
You can? Okay, so Gloria, did you hear my question?
No.
Okay, so I was saying I would like you to share with us your research findings regarding the sort of institutional challenges SMEs in Nigeria face and the strategies that they can use to overcome these institutional challenges. Did you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I heard you. Thank you. Okay, so well, first of all, I'd like to discuss the term institution because generally, people tend to think in popular parlance, the word institution is used on several levels. So on an individual level, things like marriage is called an institution. In an organization, you have accepted business processes and practices that are also institutions. And in society, we have legal and political systems. But looking at the focus with our current focus on the Nigerian market, I would say that there are basically six institutions that support markets. So we have the judiciary. Their role is to protect property rights and encourage investment by making dispute resolution predictable. Then we have financial institutions. They mobilize capital for saving, borrowing, and lending, which oils the wheels of business. Then we have the media, which informs the public and stimulates commerce through advertising. Then we have culture. Culture imparts values, habits, and norms in family, religious, and educational institutions and serves as a lubricant for human interaction. Then we have political institutions. Political institutions make economic policy, collect taxes, provide social safety nets, checks and balance business power. And then finally, we have regulatory institutions, which protect the public and investors from dishonesty, danger, and fraud. So in a developing country like Nigeria, there are several complexities within the institutional environment, which I'm sure Mira would have come across in her time, in her role as CEO. So the talent system you sometimes find that there's a shortage of technically proficient specialists and an absence of technical knowledge, which might be required. Then the incentive system, incentivizing staff could be challenging. Then the legal system. So sometimes you come across imperfect systems for safeguarding technology, property rights, and absence of consistent protection for legal entitlements. And the property rights system as well. Things such as intellectual property can be very challenging to protect. Then inconsistent, this part can be a real deal breaker, inconsistent and often discordant regulatory interventions. I'm sure many of us recall how in the past the government banned motorbikes, which destabilized the business model of ride-hailing companies. They've also banned Twitter at a point. They banned cryptocurrency. They banned Bitcoin. But however, these policy somersaults are in line with Nigeria's status as a VUCA market, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. We are like an emerging market, and one of the defining features of emerging markets is that we contend with institutional voids in the course of our development. So the way forward is not to dwell so much on what could go wrong, but on how to navigate these complexities, which is where institutional entrepreneurship comes in. So institutional entrepreneurship is a set of techniques by which entrepreneurs can legitimize their companies and innovations in a VUCA environment. I'd like to focus on the word legitimacy. Legitimacy means when something is legitimate, it acquires a rule-like status, and it means that alternatives are literally unthinkable. Now, what entrepreneur wouldn't want to be in that situation where alternatives to his product are literally unthinkable? For this to happen, the entrepreneur has to acquire that quality called legitimacy. Legitimacy is also tied to concepts like prestige, status, visibility, reputation, and so on. So through institutional entrepreneurship an entrepreneur can acquire legitimacy or institutionalize his product or innovation. Now, this is not a small feat in the face of all the regulatory complexities which we just discussed. So what are the strategies by which this institutional entrepreneurship can take place? So 3 major strategies: articulate a vision, mobilize allies, and mobilize resources. So I'll start talking about how to articulate the right vision. So in diagnosing the problem in your industry, you need to tie it into the broader field or external environment. So fintech companies often speak of financial inclusion. They're not just here to make a lot of money and, IPO. They talk about how they're trying to improve financial inclusion in the country. Bolt recently got a grant of £20 million from the IFC. So when I heard Bolt got a grant, I said, Bolt is not a social enterprise. How would they get a grant? Simply because they said that what they were doing was that they were promoting access to on-demand mobility services in emerging economies. So they position themselves as solving a social problem, even though it's clearly a profit-making entity. And so they've been able to frame themselves as altruistic. So that's how they've articulated a vision that is pro-social. Then second is to identify, is to mobilize key resources. You do that by identifying your primary and secondary stakeholders. Primary stakeholders will be obviously your shareholders, your customers, your employees, communities, and governments. And the way you do this is the way you engage your stakeholders is to, after identifying them, is to tell stories that appeal to, that connect what you're doing to familiar templates. So a company like MTN, their PR has been great. A lot of their advertisements and stories have found their way into Nigerian parlance. So things like iDonPort, Saka, and things like, they've been able to, even though it's a South African company, they've been able to speak the Nigerian language in such a way that they're making what they're doing part of the fabric of the society. Then finally, obviously mobilizing resources, finding a way to acquire formal authority. If your company has, if your industry has an association, join it, and if not, start one. Also try and find a way to get the support of the state. So for example, tech startups that have been notoriously hit by a lot of these regulatory challenges, they're advocating for a Nigerian startup bill, which is on its way to being passed. And then finally, obviously, acquiring social capital. In July this year, an indigenous ride-hailing company in Nigeria, it's 2 indigenous app companies formed a partnership with the Professional E-Hailing Drivers and Private Owners Association in a move to take out, confront, challenge the dominance of Uber and Bolt. So that just shows that, in addition to looking at your primary stakeholders, which are your customers, you also need to be on top of the regulatory environment and institutional environment in which you are. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Glory. That was an interesting summary of the sort of challenges that SMEs in an emerging market face, and how they can overcome these challenges. I particularly like the fact that you pointed out that Bolt was able to get a grant because they could show how they were impacting society. Okay, and this is something that's really important. It's an impact investing model that shows that for-profit with a social mission is attractive, and I think the world is moving in that direction of responsible businesses. I know that there's a strong global impact investing market out there looking for businesses that can provide good returns while making a difference in society. So it's something that we need to keep in mind, especially as we've been brought up traditionally to believe that profits and impact are dichotomous. Okay, we need to remember to realize that they are compatible. We can make profits from making a difference, and I think that the example you cited in the case of Bolt shows that to us. Now, so moving on to Ibade, who works with the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. Ibade, I'd like you to tell us how you're supporting small businesses, small SMEs in Nigeria.
Okay, thank you very much, Henrietta. So at the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, we're an agency of the Lagos State government. So I would say most of our work is for the residents of Lagos State. But that being said, because we have different pillars through which we try to address the unemployment challenges in Lagos State, and knowing that Lagos is really the engine room of Nigeria, when you look at the number of people who come into the state on a daily basis, research has shown that at least 15 people come in every day with no intentions of going back. So you definitely see that Lagos more or less has a lot of people to contend with and also help with employment opportunities. So what we do at the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund cuts across 3 key pillars. The idea again is to help to reduce the unemployment situation in Lagos State. And we know through that, definitely the economy of Nigeria will be better off. So we have our tech pillar. Through the tech pillar, what we do is to support those businesses that are in the tech ecosystem, startups mostly. We support them through giving them an opportunity to refine their idea, giving them a place that they can actually, brainstorm. So we help them through co-working spaces, workspace vouchers. We also help them through what we call the Idea Hub. Through the Idea Hub, they get to meet mentors who have gone through this journey. And through this, they can also support them. We are hoping that we can enable the next unicorn. So that's one of the things we do through our tech pillar. We also have the employability pillar. This is really focused on those who require vocational skills to be able to fend for themselves. They don't need to necessarily go straight from the vocational training to open their businesses. So we also provide them with internship opportunities after the trainings that they go through. Then the one that people know us for, but that is just one of our pillars, is the access to finance. For the access to finance, we support MSMEs with both loans and with grants. We have lots of partners, both local and international. We work with some of the known banks, and we have some other partners as well. And we do all this to really help businesses, because we've understood that businesses do not need only capital to thrive. A lot more goes into that. So you would find that the average SME comes to us and says they need money because they feel that the problem is money. But taking them through our different interventions, they get to understand that there are things that are important, equally as important, and in some instances, even more important for them based on where the stage they are in their business. So for example, access to market opportunities. We recently started, in collaboration with some of our partners, investment readiness programs, so that they can actually attract capital. But while going through the investment readiness program, they learn how to better structure their business. And all of those learnings, it's not a waste, because even if they end up not getting external funding, the learnings from those programs help them to scale their business. Really, they're able to expand. So you find that that is something that we are really doing more of, and it's really helping the SMEs out there. We have lots of interventions. We have business clinics that we run, both group business clinics as well as individual, some on legal matters, some on taxation, across different areas that we problem areas for MSMEs, places that, or topics that we think that they would benefit from. We also have the master classes that we run. We have webinars. We do a lot of those things virtually these days, of course, because of the pandemic. And also it helps us to reach a wider audience than if we're just running everything physically. So I would say it's been very successful. I mean, there's a lot more that can be done, but from our little space, our little corner, we're doing our best to help the SME ecosystem in Lagos. And we found out that even sometimes when we post these interventions on our social media platforms, we've had instances where people from outside Lagos dial in, and some of the information that we are passing on to these MSMEs are also beneficial to those who are outside Lagos. So I'll say that's where we are helping Nigeria as a whole. Thank you. You're muted.
Thank you, Ibadi. Thank you so much, Ibadi. That was very insightful. And it's good to know that the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund is going beyond just providing financing. Many times all over the world, when you hear SMEs, entrepreneurs, the next thing you hear is financing. And as you have clearly highlighted, there's more to business success than just financing. If you finance someone who doesn't understand, who's a good carpenter, who has vocational skills, or doesn't have business management training, it's difficult for that person to be able to run a successful business, okay? Because that financing will not make up for that training. Most likely they will use the funds badly, okay? So you also talked about internship, or let me call it apprenticeship, which is a wonderful opportunity for them to also understand how people, you apply those skills in a business context. And then, of course, access to markets. These are some of the things that people ignore, because if a poor person has a fantastic skill, unfortunately, poor people only know other poor people who won't be able to pay well for their services or for their products. And so they need someone to help. They need a bridge between their context and wider markets to be able to make a good business of from their skill or trade. So thank you so much, Ibali. It's enlightening to know that an arm of the government in Lagos has taken on such a comprehensive supporting role for businesses in Nigeria. So let me just go back to Mitra very quickly. Maybe we should begin to take questions at this point. I think so, because we have just an hour. Then I'll come back to you, the panelists, for your parting shots. Or I think we have EDC next, if I'm not mistaken. Chamaka, maybe you want to help us here? Do we have EDC?
So you can
go straight to questions and answers.
Okay, we'll go straight into quick question and answers. So question and answers will close your own panel and then move on to Dun and Bradstreet before the EDC. Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I don't see any questions on my part. I don't know if you have access to questions, but I don't see any here. Okay, while the participants are thinking of questions, maybe we should just have, one last comment. So perhaps, Mitra, you can tell us about any of the challenges you faced and how you overcame them, just so that people know that markets can be overcome.
Can you all hear me now?
Yes, at best we can.
Great. So, I just wanted to underscore some of the points that Glory made, because I think she really hit on a number of things that I agree very, very strongly with, in terms of, how you have to legitimize yourself as a business, as an emerging SME. And it can be very, very difficult. For me, one of the legitimizers that I had was my business school degree, right? And the fact, that legitimized me for people who were, wondering, why it at least piqued an interest. Why does somebody with a business degree want to go into, farming and food processing in Nigeria, right? And the 4 years that I had spent living and working in Nigeria prior to going to business school and prior to starting my business also acted as a legitimizer for me, because it gave me contact, it gave me resources, a world-recognized business school gave me then those allies and resources that helped me to then draw with me, because I'm seeing a lot of circles on my screen, so I don't know if my network is holding up. Are you still with me?
Yes, I can hear you, Mira.
I can hear you, Mira. Great. Okay. So just to give an example of some of the differences, between, let's say, business in Nigeria versus business in the US, one of the things that, you notice pretty quickly is just that you have to take on so much more when you're in Nigeria. And as an example of this, I had friends that were starting a packaged food company in the US at the same time that I was trying to start Tomato Joss back in 2014. And they were making a new type of corn chips. And they were shocked by the fact that I was talking about, trying to figure out how to raise funds for a factory. They were like, well, why don't you just outsource the, production? We just rent capacity at a factory that, makes our product and then puts our branding on it. And really the only piece of the work that they had to do was to select the ingredients, make sure they were selecting a manufacturing partner that could do their, type of packaging that they wanted to do and use the ingredients that they wanted to do, and then rent space in a factory and produce the product. And their problem was, how do we now sell this? What channels do we get into, right? Whereas for Tomato Joss, not only do we have to build the factory, but we have to provide power for the factory ourselves. We have to buy generators and run diesel because we're not on the grid. And then not only do we have to build and run the factory, but we have to build and run the farms that will provide the tomatoes for the factory, and invest very, very heavily in our network of smallholder farmers that are then providing that product to the factories. So it's a much more intensive process. They have a saying, I'm sure many of you have heard, that businesses in Nigeria need to be their own LGA, because you're in charge of the roads, you're in charge of the utilities, all the things that you would expect to be provided to you. You can't actually really rely on them being available. And so that does drive up costs, that does drive up barriers to entry, and it does make it harder for smaller businesses to get off the ground, because there's so much capital that's required that's not going directly into producing your revenue products, the products that drive your revenue, but without which that infrastructure, you cannot operate. So that's sort of one example. Then another very brief example is, on the aspect of marketing, right? In the US, in business school, I learned about, brand equity is driven by quality and the association that people have with the brand and the experience that you bring to people with the brand and their preferences. But really in Nigeria, a lot of brand equity is driven by availability. It's driven by availability and it's driven by price. And if you come into a market like this, carrying Western expectations of what brand equity means and how to build it, you will struggle. And, I loved the MTN example that Glory, used, because I think MTN is one of the few foreign companies that really came in and embraced what they saw, rather than coming in with their own perceptions of, well, this is how we did it in South Africa, and that must mean that this is what will be successful here.
Thank you very much, Mira. Okay, so I don't know if Glory would like to give make any comments regarding what Mira has mentioned to an intending investor who wants to do business in Nigeria, or to those who are doing business in Nigeria. Glory.
Okay, well, I guess one of the first things they should do is take Mira out for lunch because she's lived it. As she was speaking, I just even though I don't have I'm not done a case study for a company, but even the name Tomato Joss, so it's a slang term in Nigeria for a beautiful woman, and she cleverly used it for her company. So it makes it sound really indigenous, and already helps her break into the culture. But to sum up, I think the first thing is, they shouldn't be afraid, because if you look at even though there's a lot of potential in Nigeria, the population and all that provide a lot of potential for money making, but the regulatory environment can be harsh. So, for example, there was when Mira was speaking about the differences between doing business in the US and in Nigeria, I just remembered a 2010 World Bank study that spoke about the differences between the regulatory environment in developed and developing countries. So 3 of the things they pointed out: firstly, developing countries regulate the most, and heavier regulation can lead to negative outcomes, including delays, higher costs, like she said, more corruption, lower productivity, and less investment. Then also, developed countries regulate business in a consistent manner, but developing countries don't really do that. And while thirdly, developed countries engage in continuous regulatory reform to improve the business environment, but there's much less reform in developing countries. So some of these factors might seem a bit daunting at the beginning, but just to let them know that, other companies have come in and they've succeeded. In fact, Bolt was saying that they're not the business model that they've harness to succeed in Nigeria and emerging companies, that they're not looking at expanding in the US. If you check them up, they're only in emerging companies, because where there's a lot of danger, there's also a lot of opportunity. So I just want to encourage them that it's doable, and obviously is a cardinal principle in economics: greater risk, greater reward. So as long as they're able to implement some of these tried and tested institutional entrepreneurship strategies that have worked for some of these case studies I mentioned, then definitely they can look forward to succeeding economically in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. I think that ties into what you mentioned previously about making allies and mobilizing allies and resources, forming associations that you can use to influence policy before unfavorable policies are, thrust upon the SMEs in the different industries. So smart one, there's a way around things. Right, so we have there's a question for Ibadi. Says, what's your perspective on MSMEs approaching business from a shared value perspective from the onset, given that Lagos is a melting pot for opportunities and businesses have to bridge the gap of unemployment and creating value for the masses in a developing economy like Nigeria? So
Okay.
Wants to know.
All right, thank you. So it sounds like a long one, but if I understand him correctly, really he wants to understand what are the opportunities for MSMEs and how can they create value. So that's it. I think that is what he's talking about. So if that's the case, I mean, there are lots of opportunities in Lagos, like
from a shared value perspective.
From a shared value. So by shared value, you mean collaborations, I want to believe, or what exactly?
So you're giving value to the customer and customer is giving value back to you.
Okay,
so
awesome.
You're impacting society and society is impacting you.
Fantastic. Okay, so yeah, so definitely that's very important. I know you referenced impact investing and all that. So there's something that is like a buzzword now. We no longer should see those at the bottom of the pyramid as just consumers, but we should also see them as producers. So from that perspective, I would say it's very key for those who want to run their enterprises, SMEs, to see the customers as beyond consumers. They should see what exactly they can offer and what those customers can actually offer them. So I think it's very important from a shared value perspective I mean, you definitely need to understand your customers really. And from there, you can then give them what it is that would help them thrive. I don't know if I've answered your question, Chukwuemeka.
So I think you have to a large extent. I mean, it goes without saying that if you're not giving value to the customer, they will not be willing to pay for your business. Exactly. So in other words, if you want your business to be successful and sustainable, you have to be giving value so that they are willing to continuously pay for your goods, your products or services. And when they do that, you can then employ more people and also create value for those people you have employed by paying them reasonable salaries. And so shared value definitely gives rise to shared prosperity in a successful and sustainable way. Right. Okay. So I don't know if there are more questions. Chukwuemeka's question is all we have received. And if we don't have more questions, I will like to hand this over to Chiamaka to round up.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Henrietta. This was a fantastic session. Thank you so much to the panelists, to Mira, to Glory, to Ibade. Your insights have been invaluable, and I'm sure that those on the call agree as well. So now we'll be moving on to the session, the Dun and Bradstreet information session on credit intelligence for MSMEs. One more?
Yes,
Over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Could you allow me to share my screen?
Yes, I think so. We're going to do that now. Joseph is going to work on that now. You should be able to do that in a few minutes, in just a couple seconds, I mean.
While we're waiting, I thoroughly enjoyed the panel discussion. It was quite interesting hearing some of the comments, and I learned a few things. To be honest, for a while, I thought the Lagos State Employment Agency, or trust fund rather, focused on just employment. I didn't see it from an SME point of view. So that was good learning from my part. And I will take up that knowledge and do something about it. Okay.
You can share now. Yeah, great.
Yes, and I hope I'm sharing the right. Please let me know when you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, okay,
Positive.
right. So good afternoon, everyone, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much, ABC, for making this happen. My name is Womo. I lead the Dun & Bradstreet office here in Nigeria. Dun & Bradstreet, for almost 2 centuries now, has been leading and growing relationships for businesses through data. It was established in 1841 out of the US, and we currently operate in over 200 countries and territories across the globe. Of course, one of the reasons that our clients work with us is because of our rich database. We have over 420 million business records that covers vital information about business across the globe. Companies rely on us to understand who their potential partners are, who their potential customers could be, and also who their potential suppliers could be. I would like to stress that we focus mainly on B2B type of relationships. And it will interest everyone to know that about 80% of the companies on our database are actually considered to be SMEs. So don't think that the DMB offerings is mainly for large corporates. It actually covers a lot of SME businesses. Some of the solutions we offer in the region ranges from risk management solutions to sales and advisory services. And we also actually have credit bureau solutions, which brings me into what we do in Nigeria. So we established in collaboration with a few banks, the CRC Credit Bureau, which is the first in Nigeria. And also we have designed and managed a lot of risk management solutions for financial institutions across Nigeria. We have worked closely with SMEDAN, Bank of Industry, and Nexim to build Nigeria's first SME rating database. That project was phased into, I think it was a 4-phase project. We have done phase 1 and 2, but the other phases are still pending due to some government delays. We revamped and currently maintain the NNPC NIPEX procurement portal. We have developed a centralized vendor management portal for procurement managers that is being used particularly in Nigeria, but of course it's expanding to other African countries. And for the last 2 years now, we have been building what we have called Africa's largest SME database. Of course, this is in readiness for the fulfillment of the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, helping SMEs in Nigeria as a focus point to prepare and get ready for potential business opportunities that after will bring our way. So let's go into some of the things that have been raised. We've talked a lot about, or we've heard discussions about, should I say, what's the word that was used? Credibility. We've talked about legitimacy. We've talked about starting up a business. It doesn't really matter whether you're small or a big business. There are major things that are always on top of everyone's mind. How do I accelerate growth? How do I reduce costs? How do I transform my business, and how to manage risk? These are constant questions asked by business leaders. And there are quite a number of problems and challenges that SMEs face. But for the purpose of this discussion, I've just focused on cash flow and access to finance, growth, credibility, and of course, competition from large corporates. I will try in the process of this discussion to address some of these challenges, of course, using a DMB solution to do so. So let's look at one of the first topics I'm supposed to talk about, which has to do with business credits. How do you access finance? How do you ensure some sort of cash flow? one of the critical things to ask yourself is, how are you perceived by either your competition, how are you perceived by the creditor, or how are you perceived by a potential partner or customer? So a business credit actually helps to show your company's credibility, and it helps to demonstrate your capacity and capability as well. I hope, sorry, my screen seems to have frozen. Okay, good, now we're here, good. So let's just take a look about what a business credit, should I say, profile would look like. It contains information about the business. It looks at the scores and the ratings. It also takes information or takes into account judgments or any kind of investigation that is ongoing about that business. And it also gives some recommendation of credit limits. Now, this is what you would find in a typical Dun & Bradstreet, should I say, credit report or business information report. This type of report is actually currently used by commercial banks in Nigeria, by the Bank of Industry, by Nexim Bank, and a few other corporate companies. They use it again to decide a few things. Some of it is whether or not they want to work with your company. Another thing they look at is what terms and conditions they want to offer you as a partner or a supplier. And from a bank or a financial institution's point of view, whether or not they want to approve a loan or extend a line of credit. So the question again I pose to all the MSMEs that are here is, how are your potential partners, customers, and creditors or investors, how do they perceive you? Do they see you as a viable, credible, and legitimate business based on the information available? And again, that is where we come in as Dun & Bradstreet to try and help to create that level of confidence and to create that level of credibility. So I'm moving slowly on. Now, of course, we understand a little bit about the credit profiling. Let's take a little bit look on how we can start building confidence as a business. Now, over the years, what we have seen as a common factor, this is not only for creditors, this is also for your potential clients and potential customers. They ask a few questions, right? Is it a supplier that I can rely on? So it is an SME I can rely on. What type of products and services do they have in offering? And what is their production capacity? You know, who are the owners of this company and who manages this company? And is this company actually real? You know, it's one thing to have a company, beautiful website. I said a company website is only as good as their software developer. But it's another thing to also confirm if this company is real. And that is what we have been doing for the last 180 years, giving confidence to businesses, as customers, as clients, as suppliers, whichever cycle you fall under. In building confidence as an SME, one of the key starting points is the Dun & Bradstreet DUNS number. I think I mentioned earlier that we have a global database of 420 million businesses. These businesses are businesses that have been verified and vetted by Dun & Bradstreet. And upon completion of that verification process, a DUNS number is issued. Mira might be quite familiar with this, of course, having worked in corporates across the US. The US government, the UAE government, the Australian government, the International Standards Organization, United Nations, as a potential customer or vendor or supplier to them, you must obtain a DUNS number before you register as a supplier to work with them. And there are quite a number of local and global companies in Nigeria that have also implemented the same policy. If you want to work with Mobil or Seplat or Ikeja Electric or Nigerian Breweries, for example, you actually need to obtain a DUNS number as a prerequisite to register as a vendor. It is only when you have gone through the DMV process that you become or you can be considered as a vendor. So that is one step of creating that confidence. And I'd like to stress that it's not just obtaining a DUNS number because you want to create confidence, and you want to become a supplier to one of these large corporate entities. There are some benefits that comes with it as well. So one of it, of course, is sales. Now, by obtaining a DUNS number, you have now, for argument's sake, you're now considered a credible and a legitimate company. And you also become one of the 420 million plus companies on our global database. So that means without actually putting any serious efforts, companies who are looking for local partners in Nigeria, who are looking for local vendors in Nigeria, who are looking for local, should I say, customers in Nigeria can actually search through our database and they'll find you out. So you gain global visibility and global access. A good example is when we have, we do have about 500 requests on a monthly basis from foreign companies all across the globe trying to find Nigerian companies to work with or to partner with or to sell to. So being part of that database allows you to be found by this type of entities. Another benefit is credibility. I think we've mentioned a lot about credibility. The DUNS number is one way that gives you credibility because it gives the searching party, so to speak, or your potential customer or client or supplier, whichever one comes into place, it gives them that understanding that you have been properly vetted by a company, a reputable company like Dun & Bradstreet, and you've been issued a DUNS number and a DUNS number certificate. So your level of credibility increases because you've also been seen to be, should I say, leaning towards global best practices or being a transparent company. Retention. This is more in line with procurement. So an SME who is a supplier to a large corporate, keeping in line with the practices of that corporate company. I will use this as an example now, Mobil. For as long as you retain your DUNS number and you retain your DUNS number certificate, you retain your status as a supplier with a company like Mobil Surplus. So this also helps in keeping that retention of your supplier registration with such companies rather than being taken out of their supplier database and considered not to be a viable option. On a cross-selling point of view, over the years, I have come to see that SMEs struggle to constantly update their information, especially with their clients. So you've registered, again, I'll use an example like Mobil. You've registered as a Mobil vendor. Now, trying to update your information with Mobil, it does take a bit of time. You have to go through a process of doing this. With the DUNS number and, of course, being part of our database, you actually have a profile that Mobil has access to, and they can actually access this information anytime. So all you need to do at that point in time is just go onto your profile and add new services or products that you offer. Now, what the procurement managers of companies that use our platform do is if they're looking for new vendors, they actually just go onto the platform and search by products or services, and your company will actually pop up as an option that they can select moving forward. Okay, just before I wrap up the presentation, I just wanted all of us to take a few seconds or a few minutes to think of the type of stories we want to tell using the type of information we have provided. Now, research has shown that a corporation fails every 3 minutes globally. A new business is formed every 58 seconds, right? A directorship changes every 32 seconds. So basically, there are constant changes and updates in business information. And how are your potential clients or your potential customers, how are they sure that the information you provided a week, 2 weeks ago, a month ago is still valid? And that is where the Dun & Bradstreet's process analytics comes into play, because we are constantly updating information that is available. We're constantly researching and speaking to our potential clients and companies that are in our database, making sure that they constantly have updated information. According to the information that we have in our system, we update our database every 3.9 seconds. Of course, this is based on information that is readily available. I think at this point in time, I would like to stop here and give some room for questions to be asked. Thank you very much. Chiamaka, back to you.
Thank you so very much, Womo, for telling us about Dun & Bradstreet. So usually people just think that, okay, the DUNS number is something for bigger companies. It's not something SMEs, MSMEs should be looking to acquire. They feel like, okay, they are not, people think they're not qualified to have that. So I'm happy that you shared that. I mean, for you to scale, for you to start servicing your target market, multinationals and the likes, I mean, a DUNS number is a step in the right direction. So if you're an SME on this call, please do well to take advantage of the opportunity that Dun & Bradstreet is giving. By virtue of you attending this session, you get to register to get a to get a DUNS number at a discounted rate. You're going to get that, more details on that in an email. So I'm hoping that you all here have questions, and Womo is here to answer. So please let me know. Any questions, please? So I'm seeing, so we can see questions, but not for this session. So we're seeing questions from the previous session, but not this particular session. But anyway, you can drop your questions in the chat box. Womo is on the call, and he will respond to them. So in the chat, I can see that people are conversing with Glory, with panelists from the previous session. So please drop your comments in the chat box and Womo will be available to respond. Thank you so much for this session, Womo. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll be moving on to the next session, hosted by our partner. So the American Business Council is organizing this event in collaboration with the Enterprise Development Center of the Pan-Atlantic University here in Lagos, Nigeria. So we have with us Halima Rabiu, who will be giving us in-depth details on the work that the EDC is doing to support SMEs in Nigeria and in Africa. Halima, over to you. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, Amaka. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Halima. It's a pleasure to see you. Yes, we can.
Okay.
Pleasure to see
you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So my name is Halima, and I'm with the Enterprise Development Center of the Pan-Atlantic University. So the Enterprise Development Center is the enterprise center of the university. So we deal with building the capacity of small businesses, startups as well in Nigeria. I was trying to share my screen, but am I able to? Sorry, Chemaka, was I able to share am I able to share my screen? I don't see the option. Okay, I've seen it now. Okay, so as I was saying, so we are the entrepreneurship element of the Pan-Atlantic University. So the center was set up in 2003 as Enterprise Development Services, which we provided capacity building for small and growing businesses, after which the center turned to Enterprise Development Center. So our strength lies in working with various partners and collaborators, as we know that the entrepreneurship ecosystem in Nigeria and Africa as a whole, it's ever growing and evolving. So as a way of reaching out to SMEs within various fields, we work with partners across both local, international, and nationally as well. So every project that we have in the center is treated differently based on the needs identified by those particular partners or collaborators, and for as well as the outcomes that we hope to achieve. So we have programs focused solely on women. We have programs focused on sector specific as well, and then we have programs focused on youths, for example. And of course, our alumni network and members remain our strength. So we have an alumni network of over 3,000 alumni, and we have a database of also thousands of youths and businesses that have passed through the center. So we have flagship programs in the center, as well as projects as well that we work on. So our flagship program is the Certificate in Entrepreneurial Management. So this is a 3 to 5 months program focused on managerial entrepreneurs and those that are already on high level in the high level sector who are looking to transition from the working environment to start their own businesses. So this is our flagship program. Then we also have the social sector management program, which is SSM for short. So the social sector management is focused on those solely in the social space who are making impact within the environment that they operate in. And this is also a similar blended learning approach. So the participants come to class as well as have online sessions to be able to articulate some of the problems and impact that they're trying to solve. And we have the Essential Management Skills Program. This is a program for middle management staff of organizations who would like to enhance on their managerial skills. So they go for this program, and this program usually runs for a week. And then lastly, we have the Growth Enterprise Program. So this is focused on startups and young businesses who want to put proper structures in their business, as well as a growth strategy for their business. So they get to go through the Growth Enterprise Program. And some other programs that we also offer is the School Leadership Program, which is focused at those in the school sector, in the educational sector. And then we have the Health Management Program, which is also focused at those in the health sector. And then we have the Business Development Service Provider Certification Program. So this is in partnership with the Small and Medium Enterprise Development of Nigeria, Agency of Nigeria, sorry, and it's focused on consultants who are providing development services within Nigeria. And it's a license certification whereby they're able to be certified to practice these services across Nigeria. And then we have over 4,000 participants who have graduated from our various programs. And then, of course, like I mentioned, we also have different programs as well that we have implemented over the years. So some of which are the Grooming Entrepreneurial Leaders. So this was in collaboration with Etisalat. We had the national program, the Youth with Innovation Nigeria, which is the UWIN project, focused on youth as well in Nigeria. And then we had Goldman Sachs 10,000 Women Initiative. So this is an initiative of Goldman Sachs, and it was to train 10,000 women across various fields. So we did that as well in Nigeria. And then for the World Bank, it was focused also on women, on training 500 women on entrepreneurial skills. So that is as well. So we have sector-specific programs, like I mentioned, and we have those as well that are for various age ranges. More of which is the Road to Growth program and the Oxfam Work in Progress. So these are focused in the social space, creating social impact using circularity. So that is a zero waste model to develop their businesses and create high level impact within their organizations or within the sector that they operate in. And one of the things that the center also does every year, which is EDC, we are the global partner, national partner, sorry, for the Global Entrepreneurship Week. So this is a week-long celebration that's celebrated across 182 countries. And for Nigeria, EDC is the national partner. So we work with the Global Entrepreneurship Network to bring, to celebrate entrepreneurship and to talk about topical issues and how it affects SMEs across the various fields. So that is women, youths, and what have you. And more of our programs as well. We have extensive partnership with private sectors, with collaborators, with individuals, and various other like-minded companies who also share our vision. So our focus and service lies within these 4 core areas. So we work on business development support, which is providing the capacity building for individual startups and small businesses. We also have business advisory services, which is called the expert in residence, and that is focused on also working with these entrepreneurs to handhold them in finding out some of those challenges that they have within their sectors, within their businesses, and finding solutions for them. We also work on corporate retreats, and we have a lot of networking meetings and events, so such as this as well. So yeah, I've spoken on this. So on our resources, we have various resources in the center. We have the SME Toolkit, which is focused on providing, so it's like a toolkit which provides components of various components of how to basically start, grow, or manage businesses across different fields. So we have things such as financial management calculators, how to calculate tax, and various things and tools that small businesses and entrepreneurs can use to make their processes seamless. And of course, we our resources also are our faculty, as well as the consultants that we work with. So the center has a large pool of facilitators, and consultants that we work with on our various projects. And of course, they all have different specializations. And we have a very robust learning management system whereby we have our online courses that are uploaded there, and anyone can essentially go on and take the courses. And this is also used in some of our courses as well that I had mentioned earlier. We also do a lot of research work and publications with various institutions as well, as it relates to the entrepreneurial ecosystem. So like I mentioned, the SME Toolkit, this is a portal designed for learning, consultancy, and advisory services as well. So it's a one-stop platform, and it is a way of essentially having all our communications on one channel so that it's easy for both the SME, consultants, and faculty, as well as EDC, to be able to manage the conversations and communications around them to ensure that there's no gap or loopholes within the communication. And in order for this platform to be used, so there's an access point at the back end whereby they're able to log in, see their dashboard, and they're able to actually either log in a session or such. So this is what the platform looks like. Chemaka, I hope I'm not going too fast. Okay. So this is what the platform looks like. So you can either log in as a consultant, an SME, an entrepreneur, or a faculty. So once this page comes up, then that's what it looks like. So working closely with our stakeholders, like I mentioned, we have our customers, investors that have interest. We have government-led initiatives as well that we work with. And we have collaborators as well as our alumni community within the different geopolitical zones in Nigeria, as well as even outside Nigeria. So we have a lot of relationship and cross-cultural collaborations with these stakeholders. So connecting with our people. So our people are our strength, and most of our communication, and as well as where we are so far, has been with our people, because we know that the entrepreneurs form a large part of the economy and the GDP. So we create platforms for them to connect, network with one another, as well as so that we all share the same common goal and strategy in terms of moving the entrepreneurial ecosystem forward. So we have our offices were based in, our main office is based in Lagos, in the same campus as the Lagos Business School. But we also have satellite offices in Abuja, Kano, and Kaduna. And this also came about due to some of the projects that we have within those fields. But our flagship program is also taken in Lagos and Abuja. So thank you very much. I'll be happy to answer any questions, comments, or clarifications that we may have.
Thank you so much, Halima. So we know that SMEs, there are lots of issues. And people complain about a lack of access to finance. People complain about the fact that they don't have support. People complain about the fact that there are barriers to the kind of knowledge that they seek. So that is what we're looking to. That's the gap we're looking to close with this event. So we're introducing to you all the people, all the institutions that can possibly help you close those gaps. And the EDC is one key organization that houses all the support SMEs need, basically. So business development, your capacity building for entrepreneurs and the likes, the EDC is your go-to organization. And they're based in Lagos, Abuja, Kano, and Kaduna. So if you have any questions for Halima for the EDC, please leave them in the chat box and she'll do well to respond. So we have some questions for Womo. One of our panelists is saying that he is an educator. We have coming from Kumbi Oshinoike. He's saying that he's an educator. Does he need a Dun & Bradstreet number? So for someone who is working in the educational sector, does he need a Dun & Bradstreet number? How would the DUNS number serve his business?
As a company, every startup, every SME is advised to get a DUNS number. So as an educator, you probably provide training services. Similarly, if you want to register and provide training services to any large corporate that requires a DUNS number as a prerequisite, then yes, they would ask you to get it. So I think in simple words, if you're a company, yes, it makes sense to get a DUNS number.
Great. So Kubi, you definitely be receiving an email on further details on how to get the DUNS number with a special and exclusive discount by virtue of you being an attendee of this event. Thank you so much, Womo. Thank you so much, Halima. So we'll just be on the watch out in the chat box for any questions for the EDC. Yes. So we would now be having a word from our sponsors, Red Star Express. Tolu. Oh, thank you so much, Kumbi. My apologies. Dear Lady Kumbi, it's a pleasure to meet you. So what's the cost of accessing the EDC SME portal? Halima, that's a question for you.
Okay, to access the portal, it's actually free to register on our portal. So most of our programs, we have a lot of free programs that we run, and we have also paid programs. So any of that registration goes through the portal. So it's free to register.
Fantastic. So yes, so we'll be sending you a link to sign up to the SME Toolkit platform in the email containing all the discounts you'll be getting from Dun & Bradstreet and also from Red Star Express as well. So we'll be having a word from our sponsors, Tolu from Red Star Express.
Okay, thank you, Chiamaka. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. Positive.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity and thank you for what EDC is doing. And I want to thank the panelists that have spoken earlier today. I've actually learned a lot as well, picking up a few things here and there. I'm just going to give us a brief about Red Star Express that I go specifics to the SME pad and how we can positively add value and help them achieve their objectives and expand their touch points. Red Star Express is an indigenous. Okay, before that, my name is Tolu Ajolani. I'll be speaking for Red Star Express. We're an indigenous company, logistic company, about 29 years old now. We have different subsidiaries from Resta Express to logistics. I'm sure we'll probably see some of these big trucks on the road that has Resta Logistics. That's part of one of the subsidiaries. We have the freight subsidiary that actually does freight forwarding from anywhere in the world, both air freight and sea freight. We have support services. We have the agro also that also speaks to the agricultural sector, both imports and within domestic distribution. And we have the support that I mentioned, and then we have the e-commerce, which will probably speak more to what we are talking about today. Over time, I said we're 29 years old. Over time, we've been able to unbundle and also try and reinvent itself. And the e-commerce part became a subsidiary about 5 years ago when it was obvious that things are changing from the way they used to be, that the environment needs to respond to that. And more so is when COVID happened about a year plus now, everything virtually migrated to the online space where we had to lock down economy, not just in Nigeria, all over the world. And people still have to, sell, buy things and distribute their goods and services. So that shows you how strategic and how important the role we play when it comes to the value chain of movement of things and the SMEs. For the e-commerce part of the business, basically we have the same-day delivery service that speaks to delivery within Lagos specifically, and is within 1 to 2 hours delivery, is like now delivery. We also have the last mile delivery that is nationwide. That also takes care of domestic movement all over Nigeria within a very short period of time. That we can deliver all your packages, we can deliver all your shipment from anywhere in Nigeria to anywhere in Nigeria. We also have the international shipping that serves on the FedEx platform, which gives you access to over 220 countries anywhere in the world. You can expand your touch points. You can see that a lot of our local products in Nigeria is starting to have that international relevance, where people in the US, in the UK, in Europe, anywhere in the world can actually buy our locally produced products. We could talk about hair products, we talk about any other product, hair product, creams and all that. It is now very accessible in the world. So we also deliver to anywhere in the world, door-to-door delivery, and we're able to make sure that you not only sell your product, you can also expand your business by doing so. We also have what we call the inventory management and other fulfillments. There are a lot of people also that, especially in the international community, that don't want to have like a warehouse and even look at, because it's cost. In order to minimize cost, we can actually manage the order fulfillment for you, where we warehouse, we'll break bulk, and then we'll do the last mile delivery for you. We're just we are trying to reduce cost for you, and then we are trying to give value to you by ensuring that you get your package delivered to your customer. And breaking it down to the SMEs, because of the environment that we work in, we have a trust problem. Basically, Nigerians, they want to see what they are buying before they pay. So we have two forms of services, which comes in form of prepaid and pay on delivery, only for domestic transaction. A lot of people want to probably see their packages before they make payment. So we have a service to cover that. So if you're worried about, if you have customers that are worried about, no, I want to see these packages before I get to pay you, you got you covered. We're going to pay you back your monies as a when deal. And at the moment, we have over 2,500 customers hosted on our logistic management tool that we presently use to house SMEs, and it's been working fine. And we have been able to expand people's market points, expand their horizons, and make sure we add value to to their businesses. A lot of people that are just Lagos state businesses or Port Harcourt state businesses or Abuja-based businesses, because of the partnership, we've been able to expand their touch points and ensure that they increase their market share, thereby increasing their revenue and obviously their profit. So just to conclude on this, logistics plays a very vital role in ensuring that SMEs thrive, especially in this jet age where everything is virtually done online. And previous speakers also have spoken about the importance of data, importance of how you do businesses online, how you increase your touch point. So I can assure you that Resta Express actually have the expertise, we have the experience, we have the technical know-how to ensure that we add value to that. Thank you very much. I'll back to you, Chiamaka. I'll take questions if there are any. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tolu. I want to share what Red Star has for us. So for attendees at this event, you see, Christmas has come early. We have discounts as well. So for you to sign up to Red Star's Click and Ship service, you have access. You're going to get that. So yes, so we come bearing gifts. So these are the services that Red Star has to offer to SMEs here present at this event. Sell more with their Click and Ship service. Attendees at this event are going to be getting a special discount to begin shipping their products anywhere in the world. So thank you so much, Tolu. If you have any further questions for Red Star Express, please just drop them in the chat box. Thank you so much. So thank you. So this has been a thrilling session. It has been very insightful, from the first panel to all we've learned about having a DUNS number, to all we've learned about what how Red Star is changing the face of logistics here in Nigeria. It is amazing, it's fantastic. So opportunities exist for SMEs to actually thrive in Nigeria. So we are asking you all here present to take advantage of these opportunities, to keep following the news, engage with the panelists even after this event, follow them on LinkedIn and the likes, engage with them, and then get to know more about how you can scale your business. Glory had mentioned earlier that if you want to learn how to do business in Nigeria, you should actually get a coffee date with Mira. So please, by all means, engage with the panelists at this event and then make the best of all the services, of all that we've shared with you at this event. So at this point, I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone who has joined this call. We have come to the end of this very insightful session. We look forward to seeing you all succeed in your small businesses. You'll be getting an email with discount links to all the services from Dun & Bradstreet, from our sponsors, Red Star Express as well. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and have a beautiful evening. Bye-bye.